Hi, it's Ross from Moshville Times here, and I'm with Jamie from Tiger Cub. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm very well.
Nice. So obviously Tiger Cub have a new album due out in April. What can you tell us about it?
Well, it's Tiger Cub's fourth record. It's called Nets to Catch the Wind. It's loosely set creatively, artistically in the moment between sleeping and waking and all of the chaos, truths, untruths, everything that can happen in that moment, that counterpoint between um, sleep, leaving the realm of sleep back into reality. So I decided to place it there to try and find something um, that I couldn't otherwise express with words, which is what I always look for with creative stuff. It's our first record that we've made outside of a studio called Bright Electric Studios, which our bass player runs. We've made our last three records there, and this is the first time we've sort of flown the nest and gone somewhere else. And we made it at Rockfield Studios,
Hmm.
which was amazing. And that was during the Oasis reunion shows, the final Black Sabbath shows, and we're in the coach house in Rockfield. And for those who don't know, that's where Definitely Maybe was recorded. And I don't think Sabbath made any records there, but they did rehearse there a lot and like recorded there. And Ozzy in the band, there's Kingsley, the guy who owns Rockfield, who like obviously people that know and have seen the documentaries and stuff will already know all of his stories, but he's some great ones about, Ozzy fucking he slept in this particular chalet and stuff like that. So that was sick to kind of, go through some kind of musical homage, and I think that fed itself into the moment of recording that we all put ourselves into. We also tracked it like more or less live with minimal overdubs in an effort to try and make find something more using a lot less. So
Hmm.
hopefully that's a nice little introduction to some of the talking points of the interview.
Hmm. And also like while we're on the subject of Rockfield, obviously it's also got the piano that Bohemian Rhapsody was recorded on. Like, let's be real here.
Totally. Not just that, they have the Don't Look Back in Anger piano in the coach house, and on both of those pianos, you play those passages of music, and it's that, you know,
Mm.
like a lot of people, it's very easy, especially in this world where plugins and like production software and stuff are like marketed so heavily to creative people because we all, the music industry shrunk and people can't afford to make really expensive records anymore. So you kind of get lost down the rabbit hole of like, oh, well, if I put this EQ on this thing, then that'll make it sound like the records that I love. It's not true. It's the instrument and a great player with a great song. That's what makes it amazing. And that is a living, breathing, like those two instruments there are like a testament to that. You
Mm.
literally play the opening chords to Don't Look Back in Anger or Bohemian Rhapsody, and you're like, it's fucking it. You could
Mm.
stick your iPhone, and I did. I was just blowing my mates up, just being like, hey, wankers, look where I am right now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's the fucking tune. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's awesome, man. It's
Um,
absolutely.
Yeah. Also to go back to the new album as well, it's such a good follow-up to the Perfume of Decay. And were you talking about like the between moments of like between sleep and waking? I actually kind of felt like this new album's like it's almost like the calm after a storm a little bit.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh, I appreciate that. I'm not sure who's been like sent an advance copy or anything like that,
Mm,
so it was a little surprise. I'm really glad you listened to it and that you liked it.
mm,
So thank you for your time there. But yeah, it felt like, following on from the Perfume of Decay, the last track is called Help Me, I'm Dreaming, and
mm,
it's sort of like there is like a sort of a through narrative there. And I wanted Nets to Catch the Wind to be feel like something truly successive thematically to the Perfume of Decay. And I just had my head in loads of David Lynch and like I watched Blue Velvet and I've always liked David Lynch, but I didn't get it, and I was just like, oh, everyone loves this, and like I'm supposed to love this too, but
mm,
it's not my favorite. But I was watching like Eraserhead, which is amazing, and I understand why they're good, but I just didn't like want to devour it
Hmm.
until I watched Blue Velvet, which I would maybe argue is like the most accessible or one of the most accessible David Lynch films to get into. And I was like, oh fuck, it's a fucking dream.
Hmm.
And that's what you try to get across. And then you go back and like Mulholland Drive and everything, the grotesqueness of what he portrays completely clicks. And then it becomes like it became irresistible to me. So that had a huge impact, just around the time of like writing the record. That helped me really lock into what I think this record should be and thematically where I'd like to place it.
Last time we spoke as well, it was in the lead up to the Perfume of Decay, and you talked about the creative process that you've got for making an album, and you build the entire idea of the album to basically create this whole story for the album, like with all the like different ancillary aspects, like well, it's press shots, tours, tour posters, all that sort of thing, to just build the
Yeah.
idea of the album itself. Was that the same creative process again this time for this album?
Always try and like put that level of detail in, to varying degrees of success. It's down to people that like enjoy it, whether they think it works or not. But that's how my favorite bands release records. It becomes this like the idea of something so well thought out and so strong that it can carry itself across different mediums. And like it's kind of baked, everything's baked into the marketing of the record as well. Like Nine Inch Nails are so good at it. And like, yeah, I just think that's a really fun aspect of it. And Tiger Cub's always been on indie record labels and stuff, so we've never had and that's not me. I'm not upset about that. That is what it is. But we've never had like absolute nuclear music marketing. So, from the get-go, being on like a record label like Alcopop Records, who are really like the pillar of like indie marketing and how to get like just so much coverage from basically nothing.
Mm.
I mean, our first record was made and marketed for like next to nothing. And Jack Clothier managed to like get it in so many places just through like he believes in merch and he believes in marketing things right and printing out coasters with QR codes on it and just creative ways of getting your music about. So that that was how I learned about the music industry. I was like, oh, this is what you do,
Mm.
you know. And I know that I understand now that that's not the same. So yeah, all the ancillary stuff, I love it.
Mm.
It's hard, and it burns me out, but I like to try and sort of bake a bit of that into it. Yeah, it's all part of the
Mm.
fun.
So where did the idea of a candle to pair with listening to the album come from, and what does the candle actually smell like?
Oh God, I'd have to go back and check. It's quite long. I don't really know that much about whatever you'd call it, smellology. I don't know fuck about anything. I was just like, I don't know, make it smell nice. Um, that was more like I just you always get asked like, what are the merch items going to be and what are the bundles going to be, and I just thought it would be nice to create like a listening package, like some
Mm.
accoutrement that facilitates the ceremonious listening of a vinyl record, because that's the thing that we love as like massive music fans. Like everyone says, oh, the reason why vinyl's better than streaming is because you, the process, you pull out the cover, the artwork, that's the first impression, the inner
Hmm.
sleeve, second record, and then that little noise when the needle hits the fucking wax, and then that little quiet bit, and then you're in, and then you've got 15 minutes. Maybe you go and have a fucking cigarette or whatever, flip the record, or roll another joint, and then you're in again. And that whole all of those steps make it better,
Hmm.
and that's what physical media has over streaming. So I just thought, well, how do I extend that? And like, wouldn't it be great to have, a nice print, maybe a lithograph poster with some handwritten lyrics on that you can look at alongside the album art. And then another sense can be engaged, the sense of smell.
Mm.
I wish I'd have done that for the Perfume of Decay because you could have put something like rotten in the wax or something like that. So it was like really disgusting while they listened to the record. But
Well,
that's kind of yeah, I couldn't really attribute a candle in any way artistically to the themes of the record, but I thought a listening pack, that's quite a
mhm.
cool thing, you know.
Yeah, for sure. This album again was produced by Tom Dalgetty. What is it about him that makes you keep going back to work with him?
Yeah, I think we're actually his like longest standing client. I guess that I mean that's a gross way of putting it, but
Mm.
for want of a better word. Yeah, did a record of him for the first time in 2014, so that was fucking a scary amount of time ago now. Um, but yeah, like what would always happen was like our second album as Blues Indigo was a car crash. The guy who engineered that and co-produced it with me, like me and him clashed massively. There was a little bit those I don't know how much I can really say, but that went south fucking disastrously. Threatening to delete the fucking masters and shit like that. It was like it got really bad. So like Dalgo stepped in to save the record. So he mixed that. And then with the Perfume of Decay, I just produced that solo. Um, and then we were like, oh, we'll get Dalgo to mix it as well. Um, and then with this one, we've never done a full record with Tom Dalgetty, and we thought, well, first of all, let's do that. And secondly, it was I predicted that it would be beneficial for me to just focus on singing, playing the guitar, and like making sure the songs are fucking written and finished rather than worrying about where I'm going to point the mics, is what the preamp combinations are going to be, and like, am I getting my levels right going in? Are my ears fatigued? Am I making good decisions? Do we need to change the head on a drum skin? Do we need to fucking throw a mic up in the hallway? Like they're all other things that like, limit my bandwidth for just being a performer. And when I listen back to the Perfume of Decay, I just think if I was like 100% in that performance, I could have done better. I still like stand by the record, but when I listen back to Nets, I just think, well, it's full voiced and it works and there's a simplicity to it, which it stands up in its own right. And that's the best I could do. I don't
Mm,
feel like I left as much on the table. So that was a big, that was very attractive to me. Just being a fucking singer, rather than bossy boots trying to do everything, being a control freak.
mm.
So I enjoyed it.
Nice. Um, Neil Fallon from Clutch has a spoken word monologue in this album. Was that
Yeah.
part written specifically for him in mind, or is that what he wanted to do as his contribution? Like, what's the back and forth like on that? Like, who comes up with the idea and like how it ends up turning out?
Um, it was way after the fact. Like we had this section of cut the eyes out of the photographs, a track towards the end of Nets. And it had this, ironically after what I've just said about finishing songs, like that had this section which was kind of unfinished. Um, and we were kind of okay with it just being like a minute and a half's worth of quite intense, quite what's the word, like unresolved sounding, just a build up to like a guitar solo. And then I was just listening to the monitor mixes going around the block one day and I was like, oh fuck, like it could be like a Shangri-La's Scott Walker style spoken word thing. And then I sort of wrote this part and I was like, oh, this is great because it's happening towards the end of the record. I can kind of like I can draw a circular moment out of this or something that really just like comes out and says what a lot of the themes are, in as, the t most tasteful way that I can. I'd love it to be like, I'm a big fan of Edgar Allan Poe. I thought it'd be a great chance to maybe just give some of his poems that I really like a shout out, and Eleanor Wiley as well. But then with me doing it with my like stupid Macom accent in the only way that I could, you know, it just sounded really wank. And so we were just like, oh, well, let's get someone cool to do this for us. And then there was a couple of names in the hat. And Neil was like top. He was number one.
Mm.
Because Tiger Cub, we've done two tours with Clutch, and Tom's made. I think he's done two records with them. Um, it just felt like that could be something that where the planets align. So we just took. I've got a funny screenshot on my phone that Tom sent me. And Tom was like, "Would you be up for like doing a spoken word thing on Tiger Cub's new song? It's kind of like an Edgar Allan Poe style poem that Jamie's written." And Neil replied with a crow emoji, and he said underneath, he said, "That's bird talk for fuck yeah." And I was like, "That's what a legend, what a fucking dude." And then he sent us this thing back, and we were just like, "Holy shit!" First time we're having that. So it was a magical thing that was, yeah, we were able to pull together, and sometimes the fucking planets align, and
Mm.
he happened to be at home, has a little home studio set up, and he was like, "Yeah, fuck it, I'll be on your record. Go on then." It was awesome.
Nice. As well, Stone Gossard is also very hands-on with this album. Is that how your relationship has progressed naturally, or did you need just someone kind of from the outside to look in and help see the bigger picture?
Yeah, Stone and I, yeah, we've become more involved with each other creatively as you know, as the years have gone on, I guess now. And, you know, he likes to just dis I think he just wants to, he's like a musical philanthropist, and like he has a history of like collaborating with people, and like I think he just really enjoys it. Just he enjoys trying to help artists and trying to elevate what other people do. He's just very selfless. Um, like that. I'll try not to cringe him out too much in case he, checks this interview out, because he is across everything. Um, but yeah, so he was involved, and I think he identified that I have an element of just self-editing in general, and like just there's always a controlled approach to Tiger Cub Records, and he's just like, what's the opposite of that? And at the time, he was pushing really, really hard for us to go and like, crack it out in one day at Abbey Road or something like that, and like just, because he's made records like that in the past and they've been immensely successful, and he's just interested in something artistic and alternative and different, and he's like, that's the right move. And I guess we were having a bit of a back and forth because that was terrifying to me. And I was like, I don't feel like Tiger Cubs necessarily earned the right to take such a hard right turn into doing something that's completely fucking off the wall. But, you know, all he was really doing was just dragging me far enough from the principles that I've held very closely throughout my whole career. And it resulted in, you know, a 9 day recording session at Rockfield where me and the lads were sat together in a room doing fucking takes and takes and takes of the same track until we got it right, which is not what we've done in the past. It's we'll do everything separately. We'll comp things together. If something doesn't sound big, we'll double track it, triple track it, throw a different part into the mix. We'll add a high soaring pad sound in the background to try and just lift it. Um, and I guess he was trying to just sort of pressure test that. And I think what it resulted in was something ultimately better
Mm.
in doing that. And it's a la I feel like I have a more of an open mind to that in the future, um, with him. So I would say he's involved. you know, when I asked him about co-production credits and stuff like that, he was like, no, 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 I'm not interested in that. It's fine. Um, so I think he just enjoys the sort of game of throwing ideas back and forth, and he's already kind of at it now. You know, he's sort of like talking about new music and demos and songs that I have that got left off the record and what we're going to do with them and how we can, start to do stuff that's different to how we've done it before. Well, actually, even one thing you were saying was like, I don't need to write demos for anything new. You guys should all write it together in the room. And you should get used to enjoying writing over someone else's part or someone else's thing. So, he's definitely a guiding hand um in my career, which is so amazing. I'm so grateful for, despite like, having a sort of knee-jerk fear response sometimes to what he's suggesting, because he's like, go just jump off the cliff and just see what happens.
Hmm.
That's where amazing things happen. And I should fucking listen to him because who am I to disagree with him? Yeah.
Yeah,
Done a record with Neil Young shit. It's wild, the shit that he's done.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, he's involved, and I'm so grateful that he even gives a shit. That in itself is quite something, you know.
yeah, absolutely. Your fans managed to get in and pre-order the album early. How does it feel to have such passionate fans that they basically hack a website to get the pre-orders in early?
It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, like life affirming to see that response. And just like yeah, rediscover time and time again that there's an appetite for what we do. And I think people enjoy the sort of cryptic like cat and mouse game that we sort of tend to play when we're teasing a new record. I know like um a lot of fans of Tiger Cub are also fans of like Queens of the Stone Age, and they like to do little treasure hunt things. And
Hmm.
I think that for rock fans of rock music are quite into that sort of ARG puzzle based cryptic teasing thing. That seems to really impassion and ignite fan bases, and it is exciting. So I'm really glad that we get to take part in that culture, and there's enough fans that give a shit for them to fucking crack the password on our website, and then to get in and then be met with a product that's on sale and then to sell it out like that's amazing. That's
Hmm.
an amazing thing. Um, so immensely warm and grateful for that. And yeah, the fans have been able to get something extremely limited that's just for them. Obviously they parted with their own money for it, but hopefully, the juice is worth the squeeze there.
That's a great way of putting it. What was the impetus for putting out the Perfume of Decay Redux version a little while back?
So we'd done a fuck ton of a tour of America promoting the Perfume of Decay. Um and we ended up just like we had I think it was Creep On Creeping On by Timber Timbre became like just the soundtrack to our long drives through like the sort of Rust Belt of America and just these insanely fucking
Hmm.
vast expanses of nothing that you get to encounter when you do these things. And we ended up doing an acoustic install in Seattle, and we just organically put together a little acoustic show that just wasn't me like struggling through an acoustic unplugged set of songs. It's just like, how many times have we seen that? It's just, do
Hmm.
we really need that? So what we ended up putting together, Jalex, our drummer, was playing like electronic pads on his SPD. They were sort of like 808 samples that were like affected and treated. And we just the arrangements to certain tracks kind of fell out, and then it ended up kind of sounding a little bit like Portishead and like some groups that we really, really fucking love, like Portishead, like Dummy by Portishead is really that's probably a top five record for me of all time. Um, so I mean, I guess with like Stone's Pearl Jam have done Redux things in the past, and Stone had done like a remix of one of our singles, and it just all naturally came together. So we thought, well, look, this is an interesting spin rather than doing like an acoustic version, an unplugged version of a rock record.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just like completely, rearrange these songs so they're unrecognizable, and hopefully that could be a testing ground or a proving ground for these songs to see how good they are and if they can stand up to a completely different arrangement. So it'll be like, well, sometimes I listen to a song and I'm just like, do I like this song because the snare sounds fucking great on it? Do you know what I mean? Or is
Mm-hmm.
it a great song? And that could be someone else's song, that could be our songs. I just wonder about that. Um, and the best songs can always they can be covered over and over again in different styles, and it just totally holds up, and
Mm-hmm.
it's still amazing. So we wanted to have a piece of that and see if our songs behave themselves in um, with different arrangements to varying degrees of success. I think some cuts on that record maybe beat the original. Others, they get a bit long in the tooth, and they need a bit of the sort of explosiveness of rock to carry them through. Um, so yeah, it was quite an organic like way that came about. And one great thing about Loose Groove is they just thought it was a great idea. They wanted it to exist in the world, so they just gave us kind of carte blanche to do it. Obviously, we didn't record it in Rack Studios or anything like that. We did it at Brian Electric, but it was really great of them to fund it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was immensely useful to have at the end of a campaign, like a 2 year cycle. Towards the end of it, you kind of, unless you're up for Grammy nominations and shit like that, you're kind of scraping the barrel a bit. You're hitting fans with more marketing, buy something, by asking them for something constantly, and you can feel the fatigue setting in, and it starts to feel a bit gross to just be flogging a fucking dead horse. It's campaign's over, man. It's ended. Accept it. So the Redux, that felt like a really nice way to just expand the life cycle of the idea of the Perfume of Decay for an extra 6 to 9 months, and then we could offer a show at the end of it, um, which was great and terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, to We went out with like a fucking 9 piece band, string quartet, percussion, keys, shit like that. It was fucking insane. Absolute just panic, anxiety trying to pull that together in time. And the fucking show sold out ahead of time. So we're just like, oh my God, fuck. We have to live up to this now. And we can't just bang a fuzz pedal on and sort of wave your hair around and hope that the mosh pit will take care of itself just because there's energy in the room. We actually have to stand still and deliver something with a degree of accuracy.
Yeah.
But
As well, you're relaunching your podcast. What's the podcast about?
so during lockdown, I made a what I thought at the time was a radio show. It turned out to be a podcast called Safe Mode Radio, which was fucking boozy, manic. It's quite unlistenable now to listen to it as an older man. You're just like, fucking hell, this is insane. Um, who would do this? But I interviewed a lot of my friends, based from a Death Row Blood. I made Founsey, who's in like Nine Inch Nails, and Uncle for a bit, and Vance, I spoke to those guys, got them to give me like tour stories and shit like that. And it was a fun way to interact with our fan base, do like a sort of battle of the band segment where, just sort of people get a bit of something back rather than just endless fucking buy this shit. Here's another variant. Buy this shit.
Hmm.
Listen to this shit. Just like what can we give them back? And ultimately it turned into something that was like fan built because I couldn't think of ideas for segments. So I would just put out a smoke signal on Instagram stories, just ask me some shit. It can be crazy, you insult me,
Mm.
anything you can think of. And then these segments were born out of it, and it ended up becoming a show. And I got way too fucking busy to just keep doing that because I was programming the shows, producing them, sort of exporting the projects as well as, like recording them shit. Like, it's a very hard, long, lengthy process. And, since then I just seriously haven't had enough time to do it. But now like we don't have a fuck ton of touring. We're doing like larger shows less often. Um so I just thought it'd be a great opportunity to come back. And being on Loose Groove through Stone and Billy and Regan, I do have this like strange access to absolute A-list rock stars.
Mm.
So on my first episode, which is not out yet, I spoke to Josh Freese,
Nice.
who's like Nine Inch Nails, Foo Fighters, fucking Weezer, the whole fucking shebang.
Yeah.
Stone, and there's people on the horizon who are a possibility. So yeah, I rebooted that. It's way more chill. It's way more like how I am now, like sprinklings of manicness, but like I'm just I'm a bloke now, I can't wave my hands around in the air and fucking do that anymore. So it's way more of a fucking chilled affair. But it's still, I like to write jingles and, I like the sound of my own voice. So it's just basically that. And then with a fucking pretty sick interview at the end of it. So yeah, coming back soon. Once I can,
Nice.
the file for the first episode is 40 gigs. And because I'm filming it as well in 4K. It's more like a YouTube thing now.
Right.
Uh, so I'm just fucking really struggling to just get it online at the minute. It's really hard. So
Nice.
if I manage to do that, then people might be able to listen to
Cool.
it. Yeah.
And finally, what's in store for the rest of the year for the band?
So we have a show at Coco in London. That's happening on the 26th of March. By far the largest headline show that we've ever done. The last one we did, we did Oslo, which sold out, which was great for the Redux, and then before that, for the Perfume of Decay, we did the Islington Academy, which was great. But then we realized Islington's about 600. We realized, oh, well, we did 800 tickets in Brighton, and we did 600 in London, and the surrounding areas were, we did good ticket sales there. So we thought, well, why don't we do like a mega show at Coco, and like people from Brighton, if they want to get the train up to, a prestigious venue, and we can all have like a big party together. So that's kind of the thought process behind that. And then we're going to do the same thing in New York and LA as well. And then there's things there's things afoot in the meantime, which aren't can't be announced yet.
Mm.
But we're gonna do those shows, and then we're gonna get back on the fucking, the bandwagon, and fucking kill ourselves on tour again for forever. Um, so yeah, that's
Nice.
where we're at. Yeah,
Brilliant.
man.
Well, thank you very much for your time again, Jamie. It's been good to catch up with you again.
Yeah, you too, man.
Yeah. Obviously the album's out in a couple months. I've been listening to it. It's absolutely killer.
Oh,
So I
thank
can't wait
you.
for everyone else to hear it.
Oh, cheers, Ross. That makes me feel so happy, dude. Thank you for listening.
No worries. Well, thank you for your time.
No worries, man. Hopefully see you at some point for a beer.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Nice one, dude.
Cheers.
Ciao, ciao. Bye bye.
Ciao.
This episode is copyright The Moshville Times, introductory music by Elliot Alderman Broom, and any music used throughout the episode is copyright to the original performers and creators.